welcome back for day 2 of our article on the theft of the Mona Lisa. Yeah, so I'm Kat.
And I'm Mike.
And we talked yesterday about how this guy stole now the most famous painting in the world.
That's right. Well, first he used computers and he hacked into the Louvre's internet.
Well,
and then he got lasers and he used the lasers to knock out the cameras.
Actually,
and
he just walked out a door.
What?
He just walked out a side door.
He just what?
He took the painting after hiding in a closet and he walked out the door.
Yeah, that's exactly how he did it. That's true. Exactly how he did it. 1911, this guy hides in a closet overnight, steals a uniform, gets a blanket or a towel or a sheet, puts it over the painting, and someone lets him out the side door of the museum, and he walks away with the Mona Lisa.
There you go.
He didn't hack. There were no lasers. He didn't come down from the ceiling like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. There wasn't even a car chase because they didn't have cars really.
Yeah, it's not very glamorous, is it?
Not really.
Yeah, so...
It was so easy.
Yeah, and I feel really sorry for that helpful plumber who didn't know he was letting a thief out of the museum.
One of the real workers just unlocked a door and let the guy out with his own keys.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So, I mean, now we gotta learn what was the world's reaction, because this was a really big deal. Despite the fact that his way of doing it was so simple, the fallout was not simple at all. Catching it was not simple at all.
There you go. That's what happens when you steal a world-famous painting. So let's read on and find out what happened and, of course, how they got it back. Because we know it's back, right?
Yep.
We think.
It is back.
It's back.
Reading.
Stolen Smile. The case of the Mona Lisa art theft. When news broke that the Mona Lisa had been taken, people were outraged. Thousands of theories about the theft emerged. Police believed that the famous poet Guillaume Apollinaire was responsible. As the months went by, people began to wonder whether the Mona Lisa would ever be found again. Sightings of the painting's mysterious smile were reported in Russia, Brazil, and Japan. No one realized that the painting was actually close by. In the end, the thief was revealed to be Vincenzo Peruggia. Because he was a former employee of the Louvre, Peruggia had already been questioned by the police. He was waiting for a good time to sell the painting to a museum in Italy. Giovanni Poggi, the museum's director, invited Peruggia to Italy and agreed to a price of 500,000 lira. However, he never planned on buying the painting. Instead, he tricked Peruggia into visiting Italy so that the police there could arrest him. And with that, the case of the century was finally closed.
All right, so let's get into the article and find out what happened. Last we saw this guy had just basically walked into the museum at night, taken it the next day, and walked away. So eventually someone would have noticed that it wasn't there anymore, and they would have found out that no one took it off the wall just to clean it or to take a photograph of it. No, it's really gone. So that's where we jump into today's article. When news broke that the Mona Lisa had been taken, people were outraged.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So when news breaks, that's basically when the news flashes around, when everyone hears about the news.
Yep.
It's something that, of course, the people who worked at the museum probably knew about. And then later that day, some of the reporters, newspaper writers heard about it. And then probably the next morning was when, everyone in France read about it in the newspaper. And a day later, around the world, people heard the news. The news broke. The news was known to large groups of people. That's basically what it means. And people were outraged. When you're outraged, you're shocked, you're angry, you're like, what? No way! I can't believe it. I feel very upset about this. Okay, so you're not like really excited and happy. You're really shocked and upset about something. So, if we hear like a war's happened or Donald Trump said something crazy again. Or,
nobody's outraged to him anymore. They're just disappointed.
Something like that. You're outraged. You're like upset and angry, and you're kind of looking around at your friends like, did you hear that? Do you believe this? I can't believe this.
So, I mean, of course it's huge news, and so everybody's talking about it, and thousands of theories about the theft emerged.
Oh, aliens did it.
Aliens? No, I think aliens weren't really.
The Russians did it.
Neither of those things were that big yet.
No?
Yeah, so anyway...
Dinosaurs did it.
What is a theory, anyway?
A theory, yeah, good question. I have a theory.
So a theory is a noun that, well, maybe you can get an idea from what Mike was saying. It's an idea of how something works or how something happened.
Well, let me tell you what I think.
So theory actually has two different meanings. If you think about it in two different ways, there's the common meaning of theory, and there's the meaning of theory in science. So if you're talking about the common meaning, which everybody says like, I have a theory that such and such thing, it means they have a guess, they have an idea, they have some way that they think they can explain this thing. But in science, if you have a theory, that means it's been tested, it's been proven, it's been shown that this is most likely actually true. It's not just a guess. So if you're talking to a scientist and they say this is the theory of something something, that means they've tested it. It is not just a guess. So be careful of how you use it. If you're using it in a common way with other people, that's fine. But if you're just saying to a scientist, it's only a theory, they're not going to buy that. Yeah, just be careful there. Okay, an example of the word theory is... The police officer has a theory about what really happened during the robbery and is looking for clues. We're talking about common theories here. People are like, it's such and such. This person took it. This person took it. It got out of the museum, by aliens or dinosaurs.
Exactly. So basically you're guessing something, but you're using a little bit of what you know, a few facts. But as Kat said, when it's just a common theory or something you might read on the internet, you don't really have to back it up with facts or tests or proof. You just have to make it sound believable.
We can also see the word emerge in this sentence. And the meaning of this verb is to appear by coming out of something or coming out from behind something. So to emerge would be out or from behind, and that would be to appear from behind or appear from out of something.
Anyway, so there are a lot of theories. People thought that, maybe someone did it for money. Maybe there was a famous robber. Maybe there was some rich guy who was known to collect lots of expensive paintings.
Yeah.
He must have paid someone to do it. All of these different types of ideas. And there's one theory that the police certainly thought was more believable or more interesting. It says police believed that the famous poet Guillaume Apollinaire was responsible.
What a name.
Okay.
Yeah.
A famous poet, Monsieur Apollinaire, he was the one the police thought might have been the guy. They were certainly interested in talking to this guy. They thought he was responsible. I'm surprised because poets are not the type of person you might guess to steal things, because a poet is someone who writes poems.
Yeah.
All right? They're a writer, but they don't write stories. They don't write plays. They write sort of word songs, I guess you could say. If you take the words out of a song, that's kind of like a poem. When we have poems in English, they often rhyme, like the words at the end might rhyme. And they're basically, you're using interesting words to kind of paint a picture. So you're kind of making a picture of emotions and feelings out of words, okay? And one of the things that we might know of today that's closest to poems, because most people don't sit around and read poems, although you could, that's perfectly fine. Poems are not easy to write. Well, good poems are not easy to write. But words and songs, they often can be read as poems too, without the music. Here's a good example of two famous real poets. John Keats and Percy Bysshe Shelley are two of the English Romantic poets. And they wrote poems about birds and flowers and fields and seasons and historical objects and places and people. And they kind of made these word songs that gave a lot of strong feeling using very few words if possible.
Yeah, so they thought this poet guy
Yeah.
stole it? I wonder why. I wonder why they thought he was the one.
That would be like, we think this actor hacked into the government's bank and stole a bunch of money.
That'd be weird.
Okay,
Yeah.
why an actor?
But anyways, so they think he was responsible. And responsible here is this adjective that means this person is the one who did it or who organized it. Then they're the one who should answer for it. They're the one who has to be responsible for it. That's the word. Doesn't have to be the actual thief, but maybe, if it was this Guillaume Apollinaire person, he could have ordered someone else to do it. Or he could have done it himself. They don't know. So, like a person responsible for something can order others to do their dirty work, which means to do the actual work, but they did all the plans. That would make them responsible. Now, if you want to know who did something wrong, you might ask, an example sentence, okay, who is responsible for breaking my favorite coffee cup? That would be my cats. Definitely. Yeah, they would probably be the ones responsible for breaking my coffee cup.
When someone throws up in my house, I know who's responsible.
You!
The cats.
Oh. So anyway, they had all these theories.
That's right. So I guess since the police believed that it was this poet, they probably went to his house and searched it up and down, looked everywhere and asked people who knew him, or maybe they found out that day he was actually, in another part of the country or whatever. So it wasn't him. It wasn't him. It says, as the months went by, people began to wonder whether the Mona Lisa would ever be found again. So yeah, we can kind of guessed there that it wasn't Monsieur Apollinaire. The police checked him out, and it seemed he didn't do it for whatever reason. So as time went by, time goes by. Don't start singing. Time goes by. That means time passes. Yeah, basically, if you look at your watch, if you watch the clock, or if you just live, time goes by.
That's true.
You wake up in the morning, and then a few hours later, it's the afternoon, and then later it's the night, because time is moving, time is going by, time is passing. As time went on, as the weeks, days, weeks, then months went by, and still they couldn't find the painting, they started to wonder whether it would be found again. Now, when we wonder, this is a verb. You could use it as a noun, but we commonly use it as a verb. You're kind of like thinking about the future or something that could happen or maybe did happen, but you don't really know. So it's kind of like guessing, but you're not really trying to find the answer. You're just kind of throwing a question out there, a question that no one will probably be able to answer for you.
Yeah.
You just think it's interesting, and you're like, hey, did you ever think about this? I have all these questions that we don't know answers to, but I think it's kind of interesting. For example,
wonder if there's aliens.
Yeah, I wonder. Here's our example sentence. I wonder if people will be living on Mars 200 years from now. And your friends might say, oh, I think they'll be living there 50 years from now. And another person will say, oh, no, it'll probably be at least 500 years. You know how slow people do stuff.
Yeah.
So you're kind of just throwing it out. It's interesting, but you're not really looking for an answer. And there probably is no answer right now because you can't look forward in time. You're just, kind of asking because it's interesting.
Yeah. And with that word wonder, we often put like this whether or if after it.
I wonder whether.
Yeah. So it's a way to continue that question because wondering kind of brings up a question that you put out in the universe. But to finish the statement, you want to say whether or if. So if it's a question of if something will happen or not, I wonder whether A or B. So that means there's a choice there. So A would be the Mona Lisa will be found. B is the Mona Lisa won't be found. But you can say whether or if A without B, you just say, oh, I wonder whether the Mona Lisa will ever be found again. You don't have to say, the alternative. Or you could just say or not. So like, here's a few examples that might be the same sort of thing. They mean the same thing, but they're said different ways. I don't know whether or if we'll have homework tonight. Another one, I don't know whether if we'll have homework or whether the teacher will give us a break. Or, I don't know whether we'll have homework tonight or not. So that's a way of showing kind of a choice between, it could be this way, it could be another way. You don't know how it's going to turn out.
Very interesting. And so a lot of stories were flying around. When people don't have the information they're looking for, they often make up information or grab anything that they can find to explain things because they can't explain things. It says sightings of the painting's mysterious smile were reported in Russia, Brazil, and Japan.
Wow, that's far.
Yeah, and we're not here saying that someone took the smile off the painting. This is actually kind of like how you would describe the Mona Lisa in a poem. Remember how I said poems are like making a painting out of words? Often you don't say exactly what you mean. You use words that kind of dance around that word to make us use our imagination to kind of, try to understand without being so direct and clear. So when I say the painting with a mysterious smile, you might hear that and go, oh, the Mona Lisa. That's what you mean. Because, of course, the smile on the woman in the painting is often described as mysterious. Is she smiling? Is she happy? Is she sad? Who is she? It's a big mystery. Something mysterious is something with a lot of mystery, a lot of unanswered questions. People guess, but no one really knows. And a sighting is when you see something, especially something that's rare or unusual or something like that. So seeing a sighting of an alien or a UFO would, of course, make the news. But even if it's something that we often don't see, like a whale, there are sightings of whales off Denshui today.
Nice.
And so people might go up to Denshui with their cameras and stuff, waiting to see the whale, blowing water, blowing air up or something like that, because it's kind of unusual to see a whale so close to the land off somewhere like Denshui, So basically, there were stories going around, oh, I hear that the king of Russia, he's really rich, he stole it. Or in Brazil, some rich businessman sent it over there to his big house. Or the emperor of Japan, he's a big fan of Western art. I bet someone stole it and sold it to him or something like that. But no one really knew. There were no answers, and of course, none of this stuff turned out to be true.
Yeah, they were thinking it was really far away, but no one realized that the painting was actually close by.
Really? It was still in Paris?
Not in Paris,
Okay.
but in a country next to it.
Certainly not in Brazil, Japan, or Russia. There you go. So who stole the painting? Who stole the Mona Lisa? Well, we're going to break the tension. We're going to let you know. It says, in the end, the thief was revealed to be Vincenzo Peruggia. That's right, Vincenzo Peruggia. Sounds like an Italian guy because he was an Italian guy who lived in France, I think, for quite a long time, but was a proud Italian. Remember, the Mona Lisa was painted by Leonardo da Vinci, an Italian.
Yes.
And he kind of thought that it should, go back home, basically. But this is what was discovered. This is what the police found out. And, of course, this is what was printed in the newspapers that, again, went all around the world. When you reveal something, you basically show something that was hidden. In this case, it's hidden information, the name of the thief. This was something that people didn't know, that the police were working hard to find out. And when they did find out, they announced this. They said, okay, everyone, we caught him, and it was that guy. And they basically tell the name. They reveal the name. For example, we could say for reveal in terms of showing something that was hidden, the terrible magician pulled away the scarf to reveal an empty hat. Shouldn't he be revealing a rabbit in that hat?
That's why he's a terrible magician.
I see. So he also revealed that he's a terrible, terrible magician. He needs to practice a lot more.
I bet the audience went, boo!
Oh, that was
Get off
terrible.
the stage!
My gosh, bring on the jazz band.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get off the stage. Anyway.
Throwing tomatoes at him. Yep.
Vincenzo Peruggia. Yeah, because he was a former employee at the Louvre, Peruggia had already been questioned by the police.
Oh, so they'd already asked him if he knew about it, and he said, no, I don't know anything. But that's also how he knew where to hide, where to get a uniform, what doors to use. He was a former worker, a former employee.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so why did he steal it? Well, he says he was waiting for a good time to sell the painting to a museum in Italy. So he did want it to go home, but he also wanted to make money off it by selling it to a museum in Italy. Didn't he think that someone would know that he'd stolen it?
You would think so, but maybe...
guess.
I mean, I think if I were him, I would have given it to a middleman first.
You
like,
could have done that. Plus, back then, I mean, it was, doing this kind of thing wouldn't have been so illegal. Back in 1911, they didn't even have passports. So you could kind of travel anywhere. So maybe if he just got it back to Italy, short of like starting a war to try to steal it back, France wouldn't have been able to do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. There wouldn't have been extradition or any of that.
Yeah, all that law stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't have so much of that stuff back then.
But, I mean, of course, it's still a big deal.
Oh, for sure.
So somebody still has to be responsible. So what happens? He's trying to sell it to this museum in Italy. And the museum happens to be this really famous museum in Florence called the Uffizi Gallery, which is where they have a lot of, like, Botticelli and Michelangelo's works and all that sort of stuff. They have a lot of Italian artworks. And next we read... Giovanni Poggi, the museum's director, invited Perugia to Italy and agreed to a price of 500,000 lira, which is what Italy used to use for money, the lira, or lire in plural. And I tried to look up how much this was, but I couldn't really get a good answer. Yeah, I think it was, several 100,000.
Lira
USD.
used to have a lot of zeros, like the Korean won. But still, it would have been quite a lot of money, but nothing like what it would have been worth today.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Anyway, so this guy, this Italian museum director, a boss of a museum, he said that he would buy it, but it says, however... He never planned on buying the painting.
Oh, so he's a stand-up guy.
Giovanni Poggi, the museum director, said, "Oh yeah, I'll buy it from you. Where can we meet? I'll bring the money." But he never really planned. He never really was going to do this. He was just trying to trick the robber into coming out and bringing the painting with him.
Yep. So instead, he tricked Perugia into visiting Italy so that the police there could arrest him.
Aha! So
Tricky.
there you go. Yeah, when you trick somebody into doing something, you're like fooling someone into doing something. We saw that fool somebody yesterday. Remember, Perugia fooled, I think, the plumber into unlocking the door. You try to get them to do something. They think they're doing it for one reason, but they're actually doing it for a different reason. Maybe that different reason is not so good. You're making them think they're doing something good. Like in this case, he's doing something good. I'm going to go to Italy with this painting. I'm going to make a bunch of money. The painting will go back to Italy. That's what I want. But no, he's really being brought back to Italy. He's being tricked into going back to Italy so that the police can catch him. This is not what he would want. This is not something he would agree to unless you had tricked that person. And to arrest someone is to catch them, to stop them using the law. Probably if you commit a crime and you're running away or hiding from the police and they eventually find where you are and put their hands on you and put the handcuffs on your hands and bring you to the police station and put you in jail, they arrest you. That's right. That's what the police... For the police, their job is finished. They've arrested the guy, he's in jail, and now it's up to the lawyers and the judges and all that other stuff. But when the police catch the person and put the handcuffs and put them in jail, they arrest that person. For example, Mr. Murtry was arrested for stealing money from the company he worked for. Ooh. Oh, Mr. Murtry. But it's okay. The cops have him. The police have him. He's in jail.
Yep. And with that... the case of the century was finally closed.
Not Mr. Murtry stealing money. You mean the Mona Lisa?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That one,
right.
you know. Case closed. So when we say the case is closed, that means that things have been solved. Things are as they should be. The painting is back. Actually, it was displayed in the Uffizi Gallery for like a week before they returned it to France.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So Italy got to have it for like a little bit, and then France came and got it back. Anyway, that's all we've got. The case is closed, and that means we're going to go to our For You chat.
For You chat.
Okay, our chat today. What artworks do you know that have interesting stories behind them? Share with the class. Our class is only 2 people, but...
That's true. You had one, right, about Van Gogh, the famous artist who cut off part of his ear.
Yeah. I mean, he made a portrait of himself. He made so many portraits of himself. But
Sure.
the one I'm thinking of is called Self-Portrait with Bandaged Ear.
Okay, all right.
So, I mean, and as you just heard, his ear was bandaged, had a bandage on it because he cut part of it off.
That's right.
And
he sent it to another artist or something, didn't he?
Well, what
Part of
happened
the
was he was living in Paris where he was trying to work as a painter, and he met Paul Gauguin, who was another painter.
That's right.
And they became friends, but then after they started living together, they had like a huge fight. And, Van Gogh wasn't always very mentally healthy, and so he made this big dramatic gesture of cutting off his ear, and he sent it to a woman of the night.
Okay.
A woman of the night. A certain kind of woman who does a certain kind of thing for her job. Yeah. He sent it to her for safekeeping. I don't know if he ever got it put back on. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But it wasn't his whole ear. Often people say, he cut his ear off.
It was part of his ear.
It was just part of his ear.
Yeah.
Still not a good thing to do.
Yeah, he had a very sad life.
Not quite as dramatic. Yeah, it's true. It's amazing. Him and Da Vinci, of course, who painted Mona Lisa, are probably the two most famous and their paintings are most expensive these days. But Van Gogh was basically a failure when he was a painter,
yeah,
right?
He wasn't
painted hundreds of paintings, but only sold a few.
He wasn't famous until his sister-in-law made him famous well after his death.
Yeah, very interesting
She went
stuff.
around and displayed his paintings all around Europe. It's because of her that we know him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And now his paintings are some of the most expensive ever sold, and if not the most expensive paintings. So there you go. Struggling artists don't always struggle, but sometimes they have to pass away.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It is, yeah.
Right, well.
But anyway, that's all the time we've got. I'm sure you guys have lots more interesting art stories that you could learn about or tell other people about. That's all the time we have, so we're going to say goodbye.
Take care and don't steal any paintings.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Stolen Smile. The case of the Mona Lisa art theft. When news broke that the Mona Lisa had been taken, people were outraged. Thousands of theories about the theft emerged. Police believed that the famous poet Guillaume Apollinaire was responsible. As the months went by, people began to wonder whether the Mona Lisa would ever be found again. Sightings of the painting's mysterious smile were reported in Russia, Brazil, and Japan. No one realized that the painting was actually close by. In the end, the thief was revealed to be Vincenzo Peruggia. Because he was a former employee of the Louvre, Peruggia had already been questioned by the police. He was waiting for a good time to sell the painting to a museum in Italy. Giovanni Poggi, the museum's director, invited Peruggia to Italy and agreed to a price of 500,000 lira. However, he never planned on buying the painting. Instead, he tricked Peruggia into visiting Italy so that the police there could arrest him. And with that, the case of the century was finally closed.
Vocabulary Review.
Theory. I'm not sure what is wrong with my car, but I have a few theories. Poet. In addition to writing and singing his own songs, Bob Dylan was a poet. Responsible. Lana was responsible for the mistake that caused everyone in the office to stay late. Wonder. While my cat is at home alone, I wonder if he misses me. Reveal. Grace revealed a secret to Patty, but Patty told everyone. Arrest. The police arrested the man for driving in a dangerous manner.
智慧小补帖
Outrage. Emerge. Sighting. mysterious.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net